Cyber Reapers. Hello, Cyber Reapers. And also, happy Halloween. Saying that to you ahead of time. I hope that if you celebrated, that you had a good time, or if you helped others celebrate, I hope you had a good time. So, by the time this video posts, I guess probably I'll be still in the house. I'll be giving out like candy to trick-or-treaters, but I think usually our house doesn't get like a lot because we're kind of pretty far down on our street, and not like you don't see a lot of houses decorated for Halloween on our street, so I'm not sure many kids like decide to take the chance to go there unless they're like driving around in a car and stop at a house. But that just means if any kid stops at our house, we usually give them like extra, like handfuls of candy. So and we also have stickers and things, so that'll be fun. I hope, it hasn't happened yet for me, but I did get festive at least with the Halloween pajamas, And also I have a couple of Halloween plushies behind me. There's a pumpkin that you can kind of see, and Elspeth is the name I chose for the owl with the little hat. The pumpkin's new as of this year, and Elspeth I think I got maybe, it was during college, so I think it's been maybe 3-4 years or so. I think it was kind of in the middle of college, so a little bit ago. Yeah, I love Halloween. I love being able to dress up and such, and I love, sewing my own stuff, making my own costumes, and even just dressing, a little more out there in comparison to usual. Yeah. Anyway, though, if I had thought ahead of time, I would have, picked spooky books for this month. I did not think ahead of time, so I ended up rereading one of my favorite series. But, the monumentous moment has come where I have finished the trilogy. So that's the book I'm going to talk about today. Yeah, got this nice shiny cover. So yeah, this is Catalyst by S.J. Kincaid. It is the third and final book of the trilogy, and I kind of forgot there's technically a fourth book that is embedded, I think, between either books 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, and I forgot about that one. It's an ebook only, and I might go back and read that at some point, but I have to find it, so I'm not sure I have it on or in my digital library. I don't know. But yeah, the intensity just went up in this book in a way that I did not remember. For most of this book, I was almost convinced I hadn't read it because it just, so few things I remembered. But then I got to the epilogue, and I remembered the epilogue, and I was going, okay, so I did read this book. But it really felt like a fresh experience. It just felt so new. And so, it's almost like a first time reading reaction. Except I knew that it was going to end well. The ending wrapped up really nicely. And I think just everything you could ask for a third book. The intensity went higher, the stakes went higher, just everything culminated so well. The tension was great, everything was great, and it ended, it wrapped up, concluded pretty much everything, and it also, had some hope and some, kind of inspiring feelings in it. And like, even though there was so much that that was broken about the world, people were going forward, you know, and it felt like a really nice cohesive ending. So, what more can I say about this book without going into spoilers? Yeah, well, just to kind of give a little bit of a recap, I'm not going to do as much as I did maybe in the previous book. But this series, you know, it's about World War III, set in space. It's fought using spaceships, so no human life should even be involved in this war. And that's where book 3 comes in. So the stakes get higher, everybody gets put in danger to a certain extent. I'm not going to say exactly how, but these corporations run the world, and it's just like the super, super wealthy controlling the planet's resources and controlling people, and they want to have even more control over people. But all of a sudden, some start fighting back. Some unknown beings start fighting back against the corporations anonymously, like through technology. And so they suddenly get in danger. The corporations and all those rich, wealthy people that nobody could touch before, all of a sudden they're in danger, and they haven't really experienced this before. And so just the system starts showing cracks in it, and people start to realize, hey, maybe this war we've been fighting against like countries, this war that's been like kind of almost endless for some reason, that some reason being it's profitable for the companies. This war, maybe we've been fighting against the wrong people. So that's kind of the shift that undergoes in this book, as people start to realize who's really pulling the strings over everything and over even the war. And it's just, the reveals are great, and the character growth is great. Even growth as a society is great. Yeah, just a lot of really neat rebellious energy in this book, that I think is quite timely, actually. So yeah. Alright, that's kind of the setup on the big overall stuff, right? And that's what we're getting into with this third book. Everything gets more intense, even more intense than I thought it would, or that I remembered. But what are like the interpersonal stuff like, right? Well, everybody gets closer, essentially. It's events happen that I'm not going to describe that results in people starting to be, or especially Tom's friend group, starting to be more forthcoming with each other. And it's really, really neat how by the end of the book, or by the end of the series really, there's been this kind of growth with the characters from they started being very like initially hesitant or dubious of therapy, and then by the end of book 3 they're all like, yeah, therapy is a normal thing, we all are going through it right now, we should have, you know, we should be going to therapy, and they are. So it's just really neat seeing that becoming destigmatized for them over the course of a while, because yes, these characters do need therapy, especially by the end of it. So I'm glad that they are actually getting, you know, getting mental help to be able to digest what they're going through, or what they went through. And what else? Just in terms of like I love that the friends never give up on each other. They're very strong in their interpersonal relationships. They're just like super strong. And like Tom with his love interest as well is very interesting. I love their dynamic, and I love how they have every reason to want to be distant from each other and to not try to contact each other, but they still do. And they've undergone so many twists and turns that, like, if they can last through all of this, they're gonna be fine, you know? So it's really neat, just really neat seeing the evolution of their relationship over the course of 3 books. Yeah. What else? Oh, in terms of characters, I'm just kind of going through my head. Yeah, there's a mentor figure, who, like, doesn't really seem like a mentor figure at first. He's very much an anti-hero in his own right. But over the course of time, Tom realizes this mentor figure is actually on his side, and just the mentor figure has been chasing this one goal of, like, revenge for such a long time that, you know, you expect him to put that above everything else. But when it came down to it, he chose to protect his students over his goal. Like, he put his students over his goal, and that was just super sweet. And I love that trope where you have, like, that anti-hero mentor sort of being where they can either choose between their goal or the young kid or teenager that they grew to care about as, like, a son or a daughter, or, you know. I love that trope, and then they choose the kid, you know. I'm thinking of Treasure Planet at the moment, just because I recently saw that. Yeah, I love that trope. I don't know if I can think of any other examples, but it's a good one. Yeah. And so that kind of trope is here, if you're looking for that. What else, though? Just a couple of representation things I forgot to say in the previous 2 videos. One of them because I just straight up forgot till the 2nd book. But, well, overall, you know, the cast, as usual, has a bunch of different characters from different nationalities, and there are people of color. There's also a prominent LGBT character, which I forgot to say in the previous one. And then there's also the love interest. I forgot, literally. Well, I didn't forget, but I forgot to say the love interest has facial scarring, specifically, I think, burns. And so that plays a lot into just her character and her dynamics within, like, her workplace and how she is with the public and such. So just, I feel like that's an important thing to say in terms of representation. 'Cause yeah, was there anything else that I was gonna say about representation? I think I got all the things I forgot. And of course, Tom is, you know, still disabled. He doesn't get cured or anything, which is good. Well, take that out of context. What I mean is like, in a fiction context, in a science fiction book, it's good that, like, the main character who became disabled in the 2nd book didn't just become undisabled in the 3rd book. because for whatever reason it seems to be a thing of using disability as like a what is it called, metaphor, maybe an analogy, using it in such a way where it's kind of just a gimmick for a theme in the book. In some books where a character becomes disabled and then by the end of the book, oh, they're cured. So, like somebody going blind and then by the end of the book they can see. That was a classic book we read. What was that one called? I seriously don't remember. But yeah, that was a book we read in English class at one point. But yeah, like you don't need to cure somebody's disability in fiction. It doesn't really happen that way. Like if it doesn't happen that way in real life, you don't need to do it in fiction, you know? There's a place for disabled people in all fiction, so, yeah, that's all I'll say on that. I feel like I said I elaborated a little too much maybe in the previous video on that, but I don't know. It's just kind of important to me. What else? I thought I covered all the characters. I forgot about like 2 of them I wanted to make sure to mention. The villain. Yeah, he is definitely the villain of this series. In the first book, I wasn't sure if he would remain the villain, but he kind of grew into being a more important role throughout the whole thing. Ooh, he's intense. Yeah, he puts Tom through some pretty nasty psychological torture. And like it does damage, so he definitely, like, he's smart, clever, formidable, and he's just so bad. Like, you know, I'm not sure there's a redeeming quality about him, but he also makes sense because you learn a bit more about his backstory. And you kind of understand where he's coming from, and how he became such a cold, calculating being. But it doesn't excuse his actions either, and like Tom makes that very clear that he believes that too. And just, yeah. And of course, what happens to him, well, I won't spoil, I'm just saying, if you want to know whether it's a satisfying thing that happens, it's satisfying. So yeah. And then also with Tom's dad has more layers than I remember him having. And just, I love that Tom eventually understands some of the major things that were keeping him kind of having a hard time communicating with his dad, and they get through all of that, and just, it's so good. I don't want to talk about, like, I don't want to spoil it, but their relationship is good. And yeah, that's kind of all I had about the characters. I wanted to make sure to cover my bases on just how I feel about most of them. And I love, this is kind of a bit of a shift, sorry, away from characters, but just, I love how in pretty much all of S.J. Kincaid's writing, she includes or incorporates really cool outer space physics into the plot. Like, I'm thinking book 2 of The Diabolic is a really good example. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but that one's like the biggest example I can think of it affecting the plot in a major way. But also in this book, there's outer space physics involved, and it's explained, and it makes sense, you know, of like, oh, okay, so this is what the characters are gonna do in order to try to get out of this situation with their knowledge of, with their knowledge of how physics work in outer space. And it's super cool. I love that. When outer space physics are incorporated in creative ways into a book's plot, it's great. And it happens particularly in this book, for this series, I would say. That's really cool, I think. And I'm sorry also if I'm just repeating the same sort of like enthusiastic words of like, that's cool, that's awesome, I love this. It's a mix of me being a bit tired, because I did just wake up, and also a mix of I'm trying to be ambiguous about this book. It's book 3 of a series. It's the ending book. But I really loved this one. I think generally when I have a favorite book in a series, it's usually like the first book. But I think, I don't know, this has a pretty strong contending, is that how you say it? It's a strong contender for my favorite book of this series, because it's just so intense and it's so strong, and the stakes get so high, and the villain's so evil, and the friends are so great, and the main character's resilience is just skyrockets. But his growth also, his character growth, he becomes an adult, he becomes more mature and able to pick his battles in such a way that benefits him more. But at the same time, he also knows when to fight back, and when he fights back, he does it with every ounce of his will. So yeah, it's just great. I love it. And I think that's kind of maybe all I have to say about it. And I hope you're okay with kind of the shortness of this video. I wanted to make sure I said some things about this book because it's so great, but also not elaborate too much, because it builds up on events of the previous 2 books. But yeah, it ends in such a satisfying way, and I wanted to, promote that. So, yeah, I have finished this series. Kind of, again, there's that sort of middle, shorter, I think, novella, maybe, that is in the middle of one of the 2 books. Anyway, though, in terms of the official series, the 3 books, the trilogy, I have completed that, so I'm feeling pretty happy about that. I haven't read a series in a while, just all the way through. Usually I've been reading standalones or books that are going to be a series, but it's just the first book out, and then maybe the second book is coming along. We'll see, But yeah, there's absolutely many reasons that I've already said in these videos for why I like that this book series is one of my favorites, and why S.J. Kincaid is one of my favorite authors. So I love this. It's the series that really brought me into science fiction, both reading and writing it. So I'll recommend this as a good starting book for our book series for that kind of thing. I don't know what's going on outside, but I'm hearing just this ominous noise that keeps happening, and I can't tell if it's a car with a weird muffler or an airplane that doesn't sound right. I'm probably gonna take the sounds out for the sake of the video. I've been trying to avoid talking over them, but it's kind of ominous. How funny. I guess fitting for a video that's gonna be, uploaded on Halloween. Yeah. Alright, so I guess that's all I have to say for now, huh? great Halloween or had a great Halloween. If you're taking my word from the past, or had, if you're taking my word as of when you're watching this. And even if it is like a ways after Halloween, I hope you had a good Halloween. And what else? I hope that whatever you do next, wherever you go next, that it is fun and or fulfilling and or relaxing. Ideally, all three. And also, thank you so much for listening. You are an awesome listener. I'm feeling good about finishing this book series. Thank you for listening to, the final book rant, praise video on this series. I guess that's it.